let's take a look at tip number 2 now. Adaptability. What does that really mean? Adaptability is really about the ability to adjust and change to different circumstances. Whether or not that's a new manager or a new leader. Maybe your department's decided to move your whole group. Now you're sitting in a different environment. Maybe you used to have an office. Now you have a cube. How are you quickly able to adjust to those kinds of things? Maybe you need to work in a different speed of time. Maybe based on the project or your client, you're going to need to work a little faster because you have a client that's expecting things from you with a faster turnaround. Or contrary, maybe you're working with a client that likes to be more thoughtful and planful and take time to analyze information. Knowing all those things is going to help you be able to adapt. So adaptability, again, is really about the ability to adjust ourselves. And let's be honest, is change something that is happening in our environment? Absolutely. In fact, it's happening every day, every week. There is nothing that is happening in the workplace that we can confidently say is not going to change. So we need to adjust and be able to be comfortable with change. So how do we go about doing it? Well, let me share with you some of the strategies I've used and learned throughout the years. Number 1, step outside of your comfort zone. What does this mean? Well, first of all, when you think about your comfort zone, it's really about staying within the area that we feel good. We feel that we have the capability. What I mean about stepping outside the comfort zone is doing something different that makes us feel maybe a little weird, maybe a little uncomfortable. But you know what? The more that we do those kinds of things, it gets a little easier, it gets a little less painful and less uncomfortable. And guess what? You start to feel more comfortable with differences. So let me throw out a couple of strategies, when I talk about this, and what do we mean? What can you do to try to stretch yourself? How many of you like to try different cuisines and food? I can't tell you how many people I meet where they say, you know what? The only thing I like to eat is Italian food and Mexican and Chinese, and that's it. Well, what about Indian food? What about Japanese? What about Thai? What about Brazilian, right? And the idea here is not that you have to like everything, but be willing and open to trying new things, because that's going to expose you to different experiences. Another thing to think about is, things that maybe, will challenge you. Maybe it's learning a new language. Maybe it's wanting to learn an instrument that you always wanted to learn but never had the time to do. Doing something that's going to make you feel just a little bit uncomfortable, but it's going to help to stretch you. So those are a couple of things I would throw out to you. It doesn't always have to be something in the workplace, but what will happen is what you'll develop is an ability to adjust, adapt, and so when things get thrown at you from left field, you have an ability to more quickly respond and adapt. And that's what we want for you. Strategy number 2, ask, what can I learn from the situation? So now I know, let's take it back to the example about moving. And let's say you had, office, previously. You had a nice window, you had plants, you could turn your own little stereo on. You move from that kind of environment now to being in a cube space. Ask yourself, what can I learn? Instead of kind of focusing on the negative and focusing on what you have less of, think of what can you learn from being in that space? How can I be more collaborative with my team? How can I forge relationships with my colleagues so that we can work more effectively together? How can I, based on the things I'm hearing from my colleagues, also help them? So in return, when there are things I need their help on, guess what? They're gonna reciprocate and help me in return. So always be thinking about whether it's a new skill, a new environment, a new project, a new manager, what can I learn from it? Is it working with different people, different personalities, learning a new skill, continuing to challenge yourself and expand on your development and your knowledge? Think about that, and that's always going to be things that can help and stretch you. Third strategy, believe you can. The moment that you say you can't, guess what? You won't be able to do anything. So I want you all to believe that no matter what it is in an organization, that you haven't done before, or maybe you haven't had an opportunity, believe that you can do it. And that comes from your own mindset, comes from you talking to yourself, the self-talk that you tell yourself to say, I can do it. I'm not that old. If an 18-year-old can do it, I think I can do it. If someone that doesn't know how to use a computer, and finally after 60 years of living and breathing, they can learn to get on the internet and learn how to use a computer, maybe I can do it as well. The other thing I'm going to tell you is think about momentous and things that will help you remind yourself that you can do something. And I want to share two items from my personal experiences that hopefully will help you. Number one, if you're wondering what's in this bottle, it's really some leftover remnants of some coals. And a couple of years ago, I had a great opportunity to be part of an organization, Peak Potentials, where I had an opportunity to be part of a fire walk. And I would not recommend anyone to do this on their own. Certainly do it with supervised people who know what they're doing. But these are some of the remnants of that fire walk. And this is a good reminder I like to keep in my home office to remind myself when I have any doubts, when I start to question whether or not I can do something. This helps remind me that I can, that I have the ability to press forward and be able to move toward achieving my goals. Now, the second thing I also have, you're probably wondering, what the heck is she doing? But this is a metal rod, yes it is. And again, I also had another opportunity where through a very, structured activity, would not recommend that you do this on your own, children or young people out there. But this was again an opportunity where I worked with a partner and had literally the ability to bend this metal rod with the muscle in my neck. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you heard me right. Okay, so these are some of the things that I keep around me because you know what? It helps to motivate myself. When I have the question on myself, that I can also do that. So think about what are the things that you've done that you're proud of. Have it around you. Remind yourself that yes, you can.